The lady was crying all over social media that Ned has ruined a lot of lives using the police force.
In Nigeria's complex political landscape, clashes do not happen by accident. They are often the result of long-standing differences in ideology, personality, and ambition. And among these clashes, none is as unexpected yet deeply revealing as the rising confrontation between activist Omoyele Sowore and Senator Ned Nwoko over the unfolding marital crisis involving popular Nollywood actress Regina Daniels. For many Nigerians, this saga is simply another celebrity drama, but behind the scenes, it is a story of political opposition, generational power struggles, and two men who represent two very different faces of Nigeria. Sowore, the former presidential candidate of the African Action Congress and a relentless voice against political corruption, stands publicly on one side of the matter. Ned Nwoko, a billionaire, lawyer, and senator representing Delta North under the APC, stands on the other. And at the center of this tension is Regina Daniels, whose marriage, age controversy, and recent divorce threats have reopened one of the most heated conversations in Nigeria's entertainment and political circles.
This so-called billionaire was just throwing people in prison. And when we got to prison, we found 9 people that had been put in prison by the same Ned Nwoko from his village. If you guys paid attention to it, there was a time Ned Nwoko also went and hijacked one lady's father. The lady was crying all over social media that Ned has ruined a lot of lives using the police force. Anybody who is a public figure, who is in political office, our duty first and foremost is to hold them to account, no matter how powerful they are.
This story is not just about a marriage. It is about what happens when activism meets political power, when personal decisions attract national debates, and when unresolved political differences explode into public confrontation. Regina Daniels' age controversy, the issue that never died. To understand why Sowore is involved today, we must revisit the controversy that started it all, the age of Regina Daniels at the time she married Ned in 2019. According to her international passport, she was 17 years old, below the age that many Nigerians consider appropriate for marriage, especially to a man several decades older. Ned Nwoko, however, insisted that Regina was legally an adult, presenting her voter registration details showing a 1998 birth year to prove that she was over 18 when they got married. The public debate was intense. Some argued that Regina was too young and emotionally unprepared for such a marriage. Others said it was her personal choice. But the age controversy never truly disappeared. It remained beneath the surface, waiting for another trigger, and that trigger came when Regina reportedly threatened to leave the marriage. The unresolved conflict surrounding her age would soon merge with a much deeper political tension between Sowore and Ned, transforming a private issue into a national debate. The marital crisis, divorce threats and shocking accusations. In recent months, new reports surfaced that Regina Daniels is threatening to divorce Ned Nwoko. According to sources close to the couple, the tension has been growing quietly but steadily, disagreements, emotional distance, and pressures from Ned's political lifestyle. But the situation escalated dramatically when Ned reportedly refused to allow her to leave, insisting that she remains his wife. Instead of addressing the alleged marital issues privately, Ned released shocking accusations, claiming that Regina had been abusing drugs and needed to be rehabilitated. This public statement did more than defend his marriage. It painted Regina as unstable and irresponsible, shifting blame from the marriage problems onto her personal life. Many Nigerians, including Sowore, saw this as a deliberate attempt to discredit and silence her. For Sowore, who has built his reputation on defending human rights, protecting the vulnerable, and exposing abuse of power, this accusation was a clear red flag. At this point, the matter was no longer about celebrity gossip. It had become a symbol of what he has always stood against: powerful men using influence to shape a narrative that benefits them and crushes the weaker party. It was at this moment that Sowore stepped into the matter publicly. Why Sowore entered the battle: activism, ideology, and history. Sowore's involvement is not random. It is strongly tied to his identity as a human rights activist, his history of confronting wealthy political figures, and his long-standing ideological opposition to the APC, the party Ned represents. First, Sowore is a defender of vulnerable individuals who are caught in situations where power imbalance threatens justice. Seeing Regina Daniels, younger, less influential, and emotionally pressured, being publicly accused by one of Nigeria's wealthiest politicians fits precisely into the type of injustice he speaks against. Second, Sowore has consistently fought against child and early marriage in Nigeria. Knowing that Regina may have been underage at the time of the marriage already gives him motive to speak out. Third, Sowore and Ned have always existed on opposite sides of Nigeria's political spectrum. Sowore represents resistance and activism. Ned represents wealth, establishment, and political authority. Their ideological differences have clashed quietly for years, but this Regina Daniels issue finally brought them head-to-head in public. For Sowore, confronting Ned is not only about the marriage. It is about the broader pattern of impunity, political manipulation, and suppression he believes that the APC political class embodies. For Ned, however, Sowore's intervention is viewed as an attack on his reputation, his political standing, and his personal life. Their long-standing political differences have now found emotional fuel, making this conflict more intense than previous disagreements. The underlying political war, APC power versus activist resistance. Beneath the marital drama, a deeper political struggle is unfolding. Ned Nwoko is a senator under the APC, a party that Sowore has attacked repeatedly for corruption, poor governance, and abuse of authority. Sowore's confrontation with Ned is symbolic. It represents his ongoing fight against the political establishment. Ned, on the other hand, represents everything Sowore opposes: political influence, financial power, and access to high-level networks. Regina Daniels' crisis has simply exposed this political tension to the public. Sowore is using the situation as a platform to address bigger issues: early marriage, gender inequality, emotional abuse, and political manipulation of personal narratives. Their battle is no longer about Regina alone. It is about Nigeria's political culture. It is about the ongoing struggle between the powerful and those who challenge power. It is about two men whose careers have been shaped by completely opposite ideologies. A story bigger than the three of them. At first glance, this might look like drama between a billionaire senator, a young Nollywood star, and a political activist. But when we look deeper, we see a reflection of Nigeria's political reality. Power struggles, ideological opposition, gender-based vulnerability, and the conflict between activism and authority. Regina Daniels represents many young women who enter marriages shaped by power imbalance. Ned Nwoko represents the political system that refuses to be questioned. And Sowore stands as the voice of resistance, a man who, even when controversial, continues to confront the establishment. As this saga unfolds, it raises important questions. What role should activists play in marital controversies involving powerful people? How should society protect young women in marriages marked by influence and control? And how much of this saga is driven by truth, and how much by political rivalry? For now, one thing is clear: this story is bigger than Sowore, bigger than Ned, and even bigger than Regina. It is a window into the deeper political battles shaping Nigeria's future.